for the Army of 2000. And of course, this is my great friend, Dr. Brad Davis.
Hi. What a blessing to be together, Gary.
Yeah.
We're thrilled about it, aren't we?
We are. We had a great service this morning and a wonderful time together. And we're starting out. We have already had 5 people respond and join the Army of 2000 today.
That's fabulous.
And that's great.
Is.
And so we're going to press along and give you an opportunity so you can do this any number of ways. You can call in. There's 2 numbers there, 610-724-3916 or 276-669-4030. You can call either one of those numbers, and one of our wives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're the
They'll
ones.
They'll be right there to answer you.
Yeah, so they volunteered to help us out today, so they'll be there to answer. And however you want to join the Army of 2000, whether you want to send it in annually, whether you want to send it in monthly, whether you want to put it on a debit card or a credit card, or however you want to do it, you could send it in quarterly, however you want to do it, $5 a month. Or $60 a year, however you want to do that. We'll more than be ready to help get you on that way. Or you can go online, and you can go online at www.gpamissions.com and click on the soldier. That's the soldier right there.
Yeah.
See?
Mm-hmm.
And the phone numbers are on the page here. It's on the caption just above us, or below us, wherever the caption is. I think it's above us on this one. I don't know whether it'll be above you or below you on your website. So it can be seen on Facebook from the Mercy Project, also the Facebook page for Antioch Baptist Church.
Yep. And also our YouTube
channel.
Antioch
You can
Baptist
see
Church
it on YouTube channel. You can see it
Bristol,
there.
Virginia, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can see it that way, and then you can also see it on my personal Facebook page. So there's several ways that you can see it, and we'll be with you for a couple of hours this afternoon, giving you an opportunity to call in and join the Army of 2000.
It is always amazing to me, Gary, as you know, and many of our folks that's watching out there as well. It's always amazing how a lot of people doing a little something like this makes such a big difference. That's the reason it's an Army of 2000.
Yeah.
And that is $5 a month. I mean, that's hardly a cheeseburger and a drink anymore at the fast food place.
Yeah, I don't think
if you can get it for that.
I don't think you can get it for that, but it's certainly less than a Starbucks specialty coffee.
Oh yeah,
or anything like that. And that's if you're doing that once or twice a week, we're only asking you to give $5 every month. Mm-hmm. And you might say, well, it's only $5. What difference does it make? Well, it matters because we need everybody to do this.
Right. That's it.
If it's going to work, everybody has to participate. So if you don't do it, then that's one of the many people that needs to help us with it. And so every person that joins makes a really big difference.
Yes, it does, and that's one thing everyone needs to understand. It's not a few people doing a whole lot. It's a lot of people doing just a small amount.
Right.
And that's what's wonderful. Where I was the scripture in Proverbs, it says that the king, his kingdom is lessened by the lack of princes. Mm-hmm. And so saying simply this is that the power and the strength of any kingdom or the work of the Lord or any church or any ministry, the power and the strength is in the number of people.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's why we did it this way, is we would rather have 2,000 prayer warriors giving us $5 a month than to have a small number of millionaires donating to us, from time to time. This is the faithfulness of this is important, and the number of people helping us, working together with us. This is why it's so very important. So tell them how this works. So what are they when they give $5? Where does that $5 go? What does it do?
Okay, here's the beauty, I think, of this program. That $5 that you would give monthly will go to support the administrative home office needs of the entire group of missionaries
Right.
at GPA. So here we have somewhere around 60 missionary families. We handle, what do we handle?
$2.6 million a year.
$2.6 million a year that the home office, that staff, which are professionals, they do a wonderful work, do a great work for our missionaries, the accounting needs, the tax needs, everything in the paperwork that would really burden a missionary down. One of the beauties of the Gospel Preacher Association has always been is they take every bit of the load they possibly can away from the missionary, so that when the missionary out there on the field, that he can do his work and not be cumbered with all of the
Right.
paperwork. We handle it at home, but it's a tremendous expense in the home office keeping track of these 60 missionaries, $2.6 million a year.
Yes.
Keeping track of that, all the records, all the financial deposits and everything that happens every single month. What was the number of deposits we...
Okay, it's about 1,000 checks a month.
Wow.
Go through our office, or I should say, at least 1,000 checks a month go through our office every single month, and not only that, but if we have a missionary that calls us from the field, and we do all of the time, I'm in the office 4 days a week on average, and I would say we rarely have a day that we don't have at least one missionary calling in for something. And so it is since the transition, it's been our goal that if they call in on us on a day that we're in the office 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday. If they call in on a day that we're in the office, then within 2 hours, we want to be able to respond to that missionary. That we don't want them to have to wait any longer than that. And if they call and leave a message when we're not in the office, we try, and as far as I know, we've been doing this, we respond to them within 24 hours, even if it's over the weekend or a holiday weekend. We do our very, very best that our missionaries will hear back from us within 24 hours. Now, this is really vital to a lot of missionaries who are foreign missionaries, because a lot of times they have things that they need to deal with or that we need to deal with for them, whether it's a visa issue, whether it's a family issue, whether it's a financial issue, whether it's a tax issue. We don't want them to have to wait. We don't want them to have to worry. We want to be able to respond to them quickly and help them through it.
Well, that's invaluable to someone out there in another part of the world, hours and hours of time difference, and many of them are sitting up at 2 in the morning to contact us here.
Yes.
And we have the availability because of the staffing. And without the finances, it's just an impossible task. So
Right.
your part of this is so valuable to all of the 60 missionary families, every one of them, and the others. We've got new ones coming on all the time, of new missionaries, new places. But it's an invaluable support, really. And you're supporting not just one missionary, but actually you're supporting
every one of them.
Every one of them, aren't you?
We have two new missionaries coming on in May. This is 2 young ladies who are dentists, and they are going to be medical missionaries with us, providing dental care on all of our medical trips, as well as providing dental care in Puerto Cortes, Honduras, to those who are not able to afford it. And so by doing this, we're able to reach out with the gospel to so many families who otherwise we wouldn't really have the opportunity to help. And you know, our people have been so very good. We had a man in Honduras this last trip, and he desperately needed some tests done because it appeared that he had prostate cancer. But they wouldn't, he had to pay for the test before the doctors would start any treatment with him. So he had to, the doctors would treat him, but they would only treat him through the medical system there after he had been diagnosed, after he had been tested. And so it was not a huge amount of money. It was only about $500, I think, that we needed for this test that he needed down there. So we raised the money, and within just a few days, we were able to get this money raised, get it down there to the missionary, who then was able to pass it on to the young man that needed this to get it done. And it was because of the fact that we have all the staff available to do this right away. And so this is one of the needs that might have been overlooked or might have been missed, but because we had the staff to do this, we were able to take care of this and get this done so that this man can get the treatment for his cancer that he desperately needs.
That's wonderful. And
he's a member of the church there in Puerto Cortes, where one of our missionaries is working.
Okay, that's tremendous. And it's something that most people, I know, unless we're explaining it to you as we are, most folks don't understand of the support of missions is much more than is just giving to a missionary who's on the field, which they need that support. But one thing about the Gospel Preacher Association that I've always loved about it, and I've been involved with them for 25 years, is that every penny that comes to the missionary from a supporting church or from supporting business or individual, every single penny has always gone directly into their account. That particular missionary or mission organization, everyone has gone to it, and that's unheard of in many areas of ministry,
especially with a missionary organization our size.
Right.
It's a little bit easier to do if you have just a few missionaries and all of it can operate out of a church office, and the church secretary and maybe the assistant pastor can take care of it. And we love the fact that a lot of missionaries are able to be on the field that way. But our organization is able to help these missionaries secure their visas, whether they're work visas or whether they're missionary visas, whether they're religious visas. We're able to help them do that. As a matter of fact, as we speak, we are working with our missionary in India to get him what he needs to get the visas so his family can come into the United States and do some deputation. So our office is doing all of that and getting it done. And these things, because of that, we not only have to have staff, but we also have to have staff with expertise.
Yes.
And because of that, it's a little bit more difficult for us to do. The bigger we get, the more missionaries we have, the harder it is for just one person or two people to do it. We actually have three in our staff, and we try to be as efficient with our staff as we possibly can, but we have one full-time and two part-time workers, and it takes those to get it done.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been in the home office many times, and certainly those ladies are superb. They do a wonderful job. And if you're joining us here from Antioch Baptist Church on our Facebook or YouTube, we have Dr. Gary Moore with us, president of the Gospel Preacher Association Mission Organization, and we're thrilled he was with us this morning for our morning service. And you can go back on our website and our YouTube page and also in our Facebook and find that service, and we encourage you to do it. But we're thrilled that we can have and host this Share-a-thon. We've got a couple of hours is all we have, between 3 and 5, that we'll be able to be with you live. And we just want to encourage you, you can support all of these missionary projects simultaneously by just joining the Army of 2,000 for only $5 a month. That's not $5 a week. That's not even $1 a day, but $5 a month. And for an Army of 2,000, that will certainly take care of the loads of paperwork that our missionaries, you can imagine all of the foreign missionaries that we have, the visas, the taxes, the finances. We do it all for them. We take care of every bit of it so that every penny that you send in to the missionary goes to the missions, goes right to the missionary. And then the home office is what this Army of 2,000 will support. I think it's a fabulous, fabulous plan, and I really believe God has given us this to take care of all the needs of all of our missionaries simultaneously, don't you?
Right. And you say, well, do I really need to join? Is my $5 important? Well, actually, your $5 is very important. We need 2,000. That's how many we need. We don't need 1,000. We don't need 1,200. We don't need 1,400. We need 2,000. And right now, we just launched this program this year, and right now we're sitting at just over 300. So we have quite a ways to go. So every single person that joins right now is of the utmost importance. So yes, your $5 is very, very important to us, and we appreciate it when you join, and you'll be part of our. I know if you're investing $5 a month with us, you'll also be investing your prayers, and that is just as important as anything else anybody is ever going to do. Is having that prayer support for all of our missionaries and the work that they're doing. Well, I got a few things on the table here, and that I thought we might talk about today.
Okay.
And
Let's talk about this. And you mentioned prayer there. I thought of this because we've got a lot of folk that's watching. You may have a prayer request, and in the time, we'd like to hear that request, wouldn't we, Brother Gary? In the time here, why don't you call 276-669-4030, 276-669-4030. You call that number, tell those ladies your prayer request, or this number, let me give you another one, 610-724-3916. Let me give that to you again, 610-724-3916, and share your prayer request with us, and we will pray about that while we are in this Share-a-thon.
We sure will.
We love prayer, and our missionaries depend on it. As Dr. Moore said, they depend on it completely, and we all do, but let us share our prayer, or your prayer requests, share them with us, and we will pray over those.
Absolutely.
I think
we'd be honored to do that.
Amen. Now, one thing I'm going to mention here, Dr. Moore mentioned about some of the things we have here on the table, and one of these is a new book that my co-pastor, son, Josh Davis, has put up and actually has put together. It's tremendous. Not saying that because he is my son, but they're selling that with the Southwest Radio Church Ministries because he is also their staff evangelist. The name of the book is Fake Jesus. Now, Jesus warned us, absolutely, he warned us that in these last days there would be many false Christs out there, Gary.
That's right.
And they're there. And he deals with those false imposters, really, of ideals and philosophies that are false Christ. He doesn't quote name the persons or anything like that, but he tells you the philosophies that are false. And I personally, I would love that every young person getting ready to enter college or graduating high school get a copy of this, because the first half of the book is a tremendous defense of who Jesus is. They would never, ever have a problem defending their faith against atheists or agnostics if they read the first half of this book. So we make that available to you as well. And if you'll call in to sign up, I tell you what, for the next 20, 30 minutes, what do you want to do?
Sure. Yes, next 30 minutes.
Next 30 minutes, if you'll call in to be part of the Army of 2,000, we will give you a copy of this book. Now, if you go online, Southwest Radio Ministries, that particular copy right there is $20, and they're a tremendous ministry. We support them fully, but yet if for $5 a month, Army of 2,000, you can have this, and we'll give you this copy free just for calling in.
Right, absolutely. So if you want to go online and get and join the Army of 2,000, you go to www.gpamissions.com. And what you're looking for is you're looking for that soldier right there, just the soldier. And that soldier, you'll see him. If you scroll down just a tad, just a little bit, you'll see the soldier. And when you see the soldier, there's a click. It says click here, and you just click there, right there with the soldier, and it'll take you right to the place where you can make that $5 a month donation, and we'll appreciate it so very, very much. 2,000 people we're looking for, and to join up with us, and you could be one of them today, and it would make an awful lot of difference for us, and we'd appreciate it. So I wanted to take a moment here before we move on to anything else, and talk about the missionaries that are out there. We've got quite a lot of missionaries on the field now. We have one missionary in India, Pastor Vara, we call him. His last name is very Indian, very difficult to pronounce, and so we just call him Pastor Vara. And then we also have Samuel Mahenu, who is a missionary working with us in Africa and Ghana in Africa. And so both of these missionaries are with us now, and we appreciate them. We might mention one of them a little bit later, but then we have a lot of other missionaries in Europe, of course, and then in Central and South America. And so I thought I'd talk about first a missionary that we have right here in the United States. I'm sure you know Jason Perlack.
Yes.
Yeah. And Jason Perlack has the Wilderness Christian Camp, and he's in West Virginia.
We support him.
Yeah.
Our church.
Tremendous missionary, and does an amazing amount of work up there, and they're having a tremendous summer up there.
Great.
Yeah.
Man, that's wonderful.
Yeah, they supporting him. When you support us with the Army of 2,000, you're helping Jason and you're helping his family to maintain this ministry, and it is so vital because so many young people are coming up there every year. It's a year-long camp. It's doesn't just run in the summertime. It's a year-long camp. Of course, he reaches a lot of young people. We're talking teenagers, junior high and high school students, especially in the summertime. All through the summer, they're coming up through there. But also young adults, couples, and missionary retreats, pastor retreats, a lot of things that they provide up there that are just essential all throughout the year in West Virginia. And so something very new has been taking place up there.
What's that?
I'm glad you asked,
Yeah.
because for many, many years since they started, and they've been going for 20 years or more, close to 30, I guess, they've been operating up there on generator power.
Right.
But this summer, they ran a campaign. Maybe you helped it. I hope that you did. But Jason and the staff up there worked hard to get this worked out. They had to buy some property to make it work, but they finally got, for the first time in all these years, they finally got electricity.
Wow.
On the property there at the Christian Wilderness Camp in West Virginia. So they actually have their own electricity. Now, it's not everywhere, but it's at the main area, the main camping area where you first arrive, where the cabins are, and all of that. And it's wonderful to them. They're thrilled about it.
I would say.
Yeah. So they don't have to haul that diesel in. They don't have to run those generators day and night, and it's just so much better for them. Now, if you go out, and they've got a friend of mine went on a survival walk with them, survival hike, and he says it's tough. He says it's tough. It's about a 6 or 7 day survival hike, and he said you really gotta be up on it and ready to go, or I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to do it. But they say it's tremendous. Now, if you do that, there's no electricity where you're going.
Yeah.
But they do have it there at the main camp there now. We're thrilled for them. So when you support the Army of 2,000, you're helping Jason, because they have we hear from Jason regularly, and they have a lot going on. They have a lot of activities. They have a lot of needs, and our home office is in constant contact with them, and it will help him out tremendously, and they're doing a tremendous work.
That's wonderful. Where Jason's camp is the correct name, Wilderness.
Yes,
And
definitely.
when you think of wilderness, there's no amenities except for snakes and salamanders and bears and things. But it has been a tremendous, number one, place for kids to be saved.
Yes,
Young people,
yes.
number two, really getting them in touch with God, where they're growing in the Lord, they're stronger.
Right.
And those watching, you know that Satan has his crosshairs on our children.
He definitely
definitely
does.
does.
Yes.
And so we are one of the ministries of GPA is this missions camp. Besides youth missions that we just got a team back from Grenada, and
Yep.
we'll talk about them in a minute. But we're wanting to shoot in the hearts of these kids with the gospel message and bring them to Christ, and then grow them. And God is doing that.
Absolutely.
Satan is aiming for them, and our service here at 5 o'clock every Sunday night, I call it a interference service. We're going to interfere with Satan's attack against these kids, and that's what the GPA missions is doing. We're interfering with Satan's desire to attack these families around the world and children around the world. We're interference. We're running in there and snatching them away from the old evil one, the wicked one, and how important GPA missions is, and the Army of 2000. We cannot emphasize just how important that is. And we want to have your prayer request and your phone calls. You'll get a free book here for signing up for the Army of 2000. This book here, that is, the name of it is Fake Jesus. Certainly the first half is an apologetics for the defense of the faith in Christ. No atheist or agnostic could read this with an open mind and not be converted. So you can imagine how that young people grabbing hold of this would really help them. And this is free to you for being a part of the Army of 2000 for the next 30 minutes anyway. Let me give you those phone numbers again. It's area code, two numbers, area code 610-724-3916. That's 610-724-3916. And then 276-669-4030. Okay, 276-669-4030, right here in Bristol, Virginia, from Antioch Baptist Church. And we want to hear your prayer request as well as getting the free book to you. You certainly give us that information.
Yeah, I wanted to just say a word or two about the staff evangelist for Southwest Radio Church, and the staff evangelist is Dr. Brad Davis's son, Josh Davis. And I just read this yesterday. This is from the Prophetic Observer, and Josh has a wonderful article in here, and you need to get that. You really, really, really do. It's very informative. He gives, and the title of it is Christianity in America at its lowest ebb? And it's a very unique and wonderful article there, and it'll do you very well to read it. I promise it will be encouraging to you, so you want to do that. But also, Josh is on staff with Southwest Radio Church, and if you have need of someone to speak to youth rallies, youth outreaches, youth revivals, or really any kind of revival, but I'm thinking specifically of the youth right now, as we've been talking about the youth going up to the Wilderness Christian Camp in West Virginia. But Josh would be a tremendous help to do that. Reading this article, I know that he's going to connect so well with the young people, and he's going to be understandable, and yet he's going to give a lot of knowledge that they that they need to get. He's going to do it in a way that's going to make a great difference. So remember that, and remember the prophetic observer. And if you don't get this, you need to get it. Because it really, really will be a blessing to you. The articles are always good, and this one, in this particular month, July of 2023, it's absolutely excellent. It really, really is.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Gary. I read that myself, and I thought, wow, that needs to be in the hands of everybody, doesn't
Yes, it does.
Truly.
It really does, especially church leaders
Yes.
and workers. We
Yes.
tend to get discouraged,
Yeah.
and there's no reason for that, and you need to read that, and it'll help you understand
Will.
that.
And you know what? I know that Brother Josh has brought me several of these. I tell you what we'll do. Not only will you get the book here of Fake Jesus, the book, but we'll throw you in a copy of this as well. So you'll have both. If you will call and be a part of the Army of 2000, we'll give you a free book and this prophetic observer that comes out every month. Normally there's a subscription for that, but we'll waive that for this month, and you'll get a copy of this as well. We encourage you to do that, and your prayer request. We definitely would love for you to have that. And Brother Gary, I guess since we're on Facebook, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. They can share this.
Right.
can't
If
they?
you're watching this, especially if you're watching this on Facebook, share it. If you're watching it on YouTube, then you can send a link to that YouTube, or you can just give somebody a call and say, hey, you want to help us out with the Army of 2000 today. So there's several different ways you can help us get it out. But if you're on Facebook especially, please share it, and because the more shares we get, the more people it's going to reach, and the more effective it's going to be.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I was couldn't help but think of the Army of 2000 here, and Dr. Jerry Falwell, who you went to school.
I went to
there.
Liberty.
You
Yeah,
went
sure
to
did.
Liberty.
Graduated
You
from Liberty in
graduated.
1984.
Wow.
Back
And you're going to tell your age now.
in the
Don't do
last
that. Yeah.
century.
But Dr. Falwell was such a supporter of missions and such a blessing. He was to me. He was to many in our region. Here we are in Southwest Virginia, 100 miles from Liberty. You know, at max, less than that, really. But there was something that a missionary shared with Dr. Falwell when at the early days of the school. That Dr. Falwell told a dear friend of mine that it really took the school to a level that they could have never went to. And he called it the $1 a day campaign. And he said it very clearly to anyone that asked, how did you come up with this idea? He said, I didn't. He said, a dear missionary that we had in just to present his work had asked the people, would you just think about $1 a day? And Dr. Falwell, after the service, was taking him for something to eat and taking him back to the motel. And Dr. Falwell said, you're going to hinder yourself if you don't ask for more money than $1 a day. He said, you need to ask for at least $50 a month or $100 or something. And the missionary said, no. He said, I'd rather have 1,000 people at $1 a day. At least they're praying for me or whatever God sends me. If it's $1 a day, if I get $30, 30 people, and I get $30 a month, he said, I've got 30 people praying for me. So Dr. Falwell, now he's just beginning Liberty University, and he said the finances was definitely in the top of his mind, and he said, wait a minute, that's not a bad idea. So he started the $1 a day campaign in the early days of Liberty University, and he told a dear friend of mine, Dr. Gary Montgomery, he said, that $1 a day, I kept supporting and pushing that, and those supporters, they literally carried the financial burden for Liberty University for the first years of its existence.
Yes.
So you see, and that was $1 a day, and this is only $5 a month.
Right.
I mean, that's 25 cents a day. if you look at it that way. So think about it for a moment, how much you can do if the Army of 2000, when it comes together at $5 a month, how important that is. And Dr. Falwell saw this, and thanks to a missionary, that this plan was planted in his heart, and he testified later that was the tremendous continual financial support the school needed in its early days.
So help us out this way and make that gift, and it'll mean a lot. Let's talk about another missionary that we have. Let's talk about missionary by the name of Mark Edwards.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Mark.
Wonderful. We love Mark here in the church. He and Sherry, veteran missionaries in Brazil. They have been in the jungles. When I say jungles, I mean the jungles of Brazil. Brother Gary, you know that. And
Absolutely.
areas and regions that some places they went, Brother Mark told me, they were absolutely the first, quote, foreigners they had ever seen in their life. The entire village had never seen anyone. And they have had such a fruitful ministry there. They're there now, and he's got plans. I love the way Mark and Sherry, they're always trusting God. They're always faithful to God's direction. They don't go in with preconceived ideas other than their number one is to share the gospel, and he's doing that. But they go in with the ideas of whatever the Holy Spirit guides them to do, they will do. And I'm telling you, God has blessed that over the years. I don't know exactly, Brother Gary, how long have they been in? 20, 25 years at least, I would think. Maybe longer?
Maybe long. Well, I think it is longer. I think he was in, I can't really remember for sure, but I know that they've been in Brazil for probably as long as I've been at Nottingham Baptist Church, and that's 29 years.
Okay.
Now, they did come home for a short period of time. They spent 3 years at home helping their home church, which is very admirable. Their home pastor needed them to help. They had come home on a furlough, and so they thank you very, very much, my dear brother. And they came in, and so spent about 3 years with him in the middle. They took an extended furlough, and instead of just staying in for 1 year, they stayed in for 3. But then they went straight back to the field and been there ever since, and doing a tremendous work. And they took that opportunity to relocate. You were talking about they were way, way up in the jungle in the Amazon basin in the northwest section of Brazil. And now they're down in the southeastern part of Brazil. And it's a more, what's the right word to put?
I guess a more populous
Yeah,
area,
it's definitely a more populous area, absolutely.
maybe a little more modern, just a little, not a lot, but
So far, we've had $305 committed, so that's great. We love to hear that. And at $5 a month, that's great to hear that. I'm not sure exactly how that 305 works out. I'm not sure if that's, but anyway.
well, let's see, that would be 60. $300 would 6 5s or 660 people. If it's 60 at $5, 300. Well, one thing about Dr. Moore and myself is we leave the accounting to other people.
Yeah. So
But
maybe we
still,
can get a
that's
little bit of an
tremendous.
explanation about
That's
exactly how the
tremendous.
$305 is figured. But nonetheless,
Thank
that's
you.
very, very good.
If-
And so
if-
we praise the Lord that's
Yeah.
come in so far, and we're thrilled about that. So maybe they could get a number of new recruits that
Yes.
we have.
Boy, that would be
how many new
great.
recruits we have today?
And that would be 60. Well, if 305
Well,
would
I
be
know that
61,
I know
wouldn't it?
that a couple. I know that at least 2 people gave their whole year at one time.
Oh, okay.
So
that'd be marvelous.
Yeah. So we're actually being helped here. We're getting some coffee,
We are. Thank you. Thank you so much.
and
so-
that's very good stuff there.
Yeah.
Very important. Get that today.
Absolutely. Wonderful. And back to Mark and Sherry Edwards now. I tell you what, I've always been impressed, particularly where they were a number of years ago, back in literally the jungles, and Mark would take these trips deeper into the jungle and be gone for days. And Sherry was just so, I mean, she maintained everything there while he was gone. And they're such an amazing couple. And, you know, how blessed we are, how blessed anybody is to be a part of this ministry. And just to think that becoming a part of the Army of 2000, that you can support all 60 missionaries, every one of them.
And that includes Mark and Sherry.
Yeah, including Mark and Sherry, and all the others. We're mentioning individuals here, but all of them are supported by this $5 a month.
Yeah, Mark and Sherry endured some very, very difficult times when they were in the jungle. In their, I guess it was their first two or three tours of duty on with the. Usually they go and spend 4 years and come back for a year. Some missionaries go 2 and come back for 6 months, but for our missionaries, mostly they spend 4 years and they come back for a year. And so they did 2 terms, I believe, at the very beginning, and then they spent a few years here in the States, and then they went back and been back ever since. So they've done 3.5, 4 tours altogether, and they've done a tremendous work. But during those early years in the jungle, it would be long rides on Friday. I don't know if you know how they did this, but on Friday they'd get up in the morning and they'd load up their John boat, and they'd have to go way up the Amazon to a tributary up there to a little village where they did their work on the weekends. And then they would be there on Saturday and Sunday. And of course, the children were homeschooled, and so a lot of times they would have to do part of their schooling on Saturday, or they would have to do it in their John boat on the way up on Friday and then on the way back on Monday. But they talked about the many different things. And I just wanted to mention this. There was a period there, and they were doing the very best that they could, but there was a period there where every single person in their family wound up coming down with hepatitis.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that?
I remember the sickness, but I didn't know that's what it was.
Every single one of the family members came down with hepatitis, but Sherry wound up coming down with it twice, and the second time she had it, it was so severe that she just had to go back to that she had to come back to the States for a short time, hospitals in Miami, to get better, just to get well. And I remember raising money to help them get a water purifying system so that this would not continually happen to them, because it was a very difficult problem, and they didn't want it going through the family again. But this was the kind of commitment that they made. And a lot of our missionaries are making that kind of commitment. It's not just Mark and Sherry. It's not just Jason Perlack and his family. It's all of our missionaries doing what's needed, what's necessary to be a part. By the way, you were mentioning youth missions. They just got back from Grenada. I missed it. Do you know? I know that there were some saved during the Grenada trip. Do you know how many? I didn't get that number.
I just remember one figure, and I'm not sure this is the total, but I remember hearing 14. Now that may have been just one day,
right?
And because the Lord blessed that in Grenada.
Well, I do know this. This. I saw pictures of their last full day in Grenada and the ministry that they were doing, and Zach was saying that it was very loud that day, and I understood when I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
They had a church building that would probably seat 250 people or so, and it was actually packed with young people. I mean, kids in their, I guess it was their vacation Bible school or their children's outreach, whatever it was, but they were just packed. And I thought, I bet it is loud in there, you know.
I bet it is.
They certainly had a lot of them, and it was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
To see all those young people piled in there. And if they had 14 saved, that is just tremendous. If it was for the week, that was tremendous. If it was for part of the week, that's even better. But we're thrilled with them, and we're glad to see the work continuing
Yes.
in Grenada. I believe it was way back. Did you go with us in '98 to Grenada?
No, I wasn't there. I was there in 2010. Was my first
Right.
trip.
I remember you going in 2010. It was way, way back, 12 years before that.
Okay.
In 1998, we took about 40 young people and counselors, and we rented a portion of the rugby stadium.
Okay.
And we had a citywide campaign down there. And I think we wound up with about 1,800 people that came through during the week, and we had about 400 that were saved.
Wonderful.
In Grenada. Now that was 4 Bible schools going on at the same time every day, and then that was having as many as 8 to 1,100 people per night and 1,800 different people coming throughout that week. Every night into we did it 6 nights in a row under the lights in that rugby stadium, and it was just tremendous. And so we haven't been to Grenada in quite a few years, but our work in Grenada has been extensive. We sent a teacher down. A young lady took a year. A full year, and she was a GPA missionary, went down there, taught in the Christian day care center and taught Christian school there with Dennis Celestine.
No Dennis well.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah, Dennis is quite a guy.
He is
Yeah,
that.
she taught in his school and spent a full year down there working in the school. That was a tremendous blessing to see that. And then, of course, we've had several others, yours in 2010. I know that we had 2 or 3 other evangelistic campaigns. So it's been tremendous what they've been doing down there. And this was the first time back in several years, probably 5 years. I know it was way before COVID.
Right.
Was the last time we had, was at least 2 years before COVID. Maybe 3. So it's been a long time since we've been back. So it's great to have them back down there. I know they were working with Pastor Celestine again. They were working with Pastor Houston. These are great missionaries that we have down there doing a wonderful work. And so I know that was a great blessing.
It was tremendous. My wife and I, we went to, I guess it was 2019 that we were down in Grenada. We spent a evangelistic tour with the folks there. Brother Francis Houston, who's with their Grace to Grow Missions, and Brother Celestine. All of them came together. We had a cooperative meeting, tent meeting, and there was scores saved. I mean, and throughout the week with Bible schools. Grenada is such a wonderful country. And
It is.
Those men, Brother Francis Houston, Brother Celestine, all of those folks are doing such a wonderful job. I'm telling you, Michael and Lambert, and just, man, we could just name over and over, because they're such a part, and as GPA's vision is, let's reach in and help wherever we got good missionaries, whether they're part of our board or not. We're still going to reach in and help them.
Several of the missionaries in Grenada are not GPA missionaries, but they work right alongside us, and we try to provide for them just the same. And it's a tremendous blessing to do that. Now, I'm going to mention something about the ship here in just a minute, but before I do, I know that we've had $305 in cash come in today.
Wonderful.
And then we've had 7 so far new Army of 2,000 people. So we're approaching our goal for the day for Antioch. I don't know how many we've had from New London. If you're watching from New London Baptist Church, please call in. You can call in here, or you can go online. But we'd like to have some of the New London people calling in too. And they're way up there.
They're way up there, aren't
in
they?
Pennsylvania. So we're down here in Southern Virginia. And we're way down in Southern
We're way down in Southern Virginia. Not too many miles, you'll be in Tennessee.
Yeah, you can practically spit to the line.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so if you're way up there in New London, Pennsylvania, you're probably 500 miles away or so, the old song, still 500 miles from home. If you're 500 miles from us, you can still be a part if you're up there with the New London group, because we were going to open it up to you today. And so New London, come on and step in and to get a part of that. And these that have called in,
Yes.
these 7 are going to get the book. And
They will.
they're going to get the book of that.
Prophetic
But that's
Observer,
over
too.
with now. So
Okay.
just ended. So we'll think of something else maybe for the next 30 minutes.
So you'll be getting that
Oh, I know what
Jesus
we're gonna do the
book
next 30 minutes.
And the Prophetic Observer. We'll be giving you both of these, and you'll want to have these.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. I feel like, Brother Gary, everyone has got this book has sent back and said, I'd like to have more of those. I know one of the churches not too far from here that I had the privilege of being a part of a special meeting with them earlier in the year, Volney Baptist Church. What a wonderful church. They bought an entire box. They said, we're going to give them to everybody in the church because they need this information. It's truth. And this Prophetic Observer, so we gave them away for all of you who have called in.
So what we're going to do
What
for
we're
the
gonna
next,
do the next one.
next half hour, that'll be till quarter after. We'll only have 15 minutes left after that.
Okay.
But for the next half hour, we're going to go ahead and give you a copy of this because this article is so good. And then we've got, I've got a number of copies of my dad's book. I actually have them in my office. It's the last book that he wrote before he died. He wrote several books. But it's the last book that he wrote before he died, and it's entitled My Life's Convictions. And if you got the last Eagle magazine, and it just came out, I know 3,200 of you out there somewhere got the Eagle magazine over the last few days. And if you got the Eagle magazine, the second article in the Eagle magazine was a chapter from that book, My Life's Convictions, a beautiful chapter on the cross. And so we're going to give a copy of that book along with this for the next half hour if you call in, as long as I have enough copies, and I'm pretty sure I will. I got a box
Okay, good,
left
good.
in my office, and so please write in, or call in, or go online and join up, and you can get that copy. I don't have a copy with me, but it's My Life's Convictions by Dr. Talbert Moore.
I have
It's got
one.
his picture on the front. It's a beautiful cover that he has there. And we'd just love for you to get a copy of that book. I have actually read it. Of course, I read it when he was living, but I actually have read it very, very recently in preparation, because I've published 2 of the chapters in the Eagle magazine here in the last year and a half. And so I think it was sometime about this same time last year, I published 1 chapter, and then in the Eagle magazine, and then I published this other chapter this last time. So for that purpose, I had read it again very recently. Actually read through it twice, and so I can tell you it's really tremendous information about how to order your life. These were the convictions that my father lived by, and with all the work and the ministry that he did, and all the lives that he touched, his convictions are well worth knowing and well worth following.
Yeah.
And his Life Convictions is a tremendous book. Everybody ought to get it. So if you call in the next little while, you can get it. It's a beautiful hardbound book.
Yeah, I've got a copy.
And
You need it. Everybody ought to have it in their library.
everybody ought to have this book. It's by one of our great men. Even if he is my dad,
It's true.
I say that because I have been told that so many times from others, and some of those great men of God, we need to glean from them
Yes.
while we have the opportunity.
Yes.
And so get that book, and it'll be a real blessing to
Take
you.
that in. I love that information that Dr. Talbert Moore shared in his book, because he wrote that from the perspective of a person who has been through his ministry.
Right.
And looking back at the convictions that sustained him through every step of the way.
Yeah.
And it's wonderfully written, and I know you'll enjoy it. And so just by calling in, joining the Army of 2000, Dr. Gary is going to give you a copy of that book, as well as this one, The Prophetic Observer. Let me give you a phone number again here, okay? Here it is, In Virginia, 276-669-4030. Of course, that works anywhere, but that is a Virginia number, 276-669-4030. And then up in the Pennsylvania region or in that area, 610-610-724-3916, 3916. 610-724-3916. And you can go online, gpamissions.com. gpamissions.com.
That's it. Simple as it couldn't be any easier.
No.
gpamissions.com. And by the way, that is also our email address, gpamissions at gmail.com. So it's gpamissions at gmail.com or gpamissions.com for the website address, and you can and then we have our Facebook pages. We have Mike Mooney and Patty Mooney both becoming Army of 2,000 members, so that's $10 a month, and that's actually 2 new members, so that brings us up to 9 today. So that's great. We're getting close to our goal, so we praise the Lord for that. Now, Mike and Patty will get My Life's Convictions by Dr. Talbert Moore and this, or I know Mike and Patty, and so Mike, if you're watching, and I got a feeling you probably are, if you already have Dad's book, and there's a strong possibility that you do, we'll give you one of these if you already have Dad's book. But if you don't, you need to get it as well, and you need to get it and then buy the other one, however you do it. But yeah, so we're thrilled to have a few still calling us, and that makes a great encouragement to us. And we did have a goal in mind, and we're getting closer to it. We want to thank you for that, and we're moving forward. So make the phone ring and let us know you're there, or go online, and we will know you're there. We will get a notification when you join online, and we'll know who you are, and we'll have your information, and we'll appreciate it very, very much. You could take a sip of that coffee. See, I done finished mine.
You finished yours, didn't you?
I didn't have
Brother
enough coffee
Gary,
this morning.
let me ask you to explain. I know we have some folks that's watching us for the first time, and we know, and many people know, what does GPA stand for? I mean, we say these initials so quickly.
Right.
And tell us a little bit about that and the conviction of your dad, and of course our joint conviction of what that means. So when we hear the initials GPA Missions and GPA Mission Team, what is GPA?
Okay, so GPA stands for Gospel Preacher Association. And the way this came about is when my father wanted to establish a new mission organization, he wanted it to be broader than just missionaries going to a foreign field or church planters. He wanted the missionaries with our organization to have a flexibility about them. So, for instance, I went to Wales, and I went to Wales as a missionary with the Gospel Preacher Association, but I did not go and start a church from scratch. I was not a church planter. Instead, I went over and worked with 2 churches, one that was almost closed and one that was nearing closure if something didn't happen soon within a year or so. And so I went there, and I went there nearly 40 years ago now. Spent 7 years on the field and worked at the Gabalva Baptist Church and stayed with 17 adults and stayed there for 7 years. Then I worked about 4 years at Machen at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Macon, and that church was going to close in a week or two if something didn't happen.
Oh, wow.
And so we went up, and that's the church I was mentioning this morning from the pulpit that we worked with, and I was up there every Sunday afternoon. I had 2 services at Gabalva, Sunday morning and Sunday night, and then Sunday afternoon I would go up and preach in the afternoon. And we had a wonderful time doing that, but a lot of mission organizations at that time, especially at that time, back in the early 80s, would have never allowed me to do that. They wouldn't let you work with an existing church or a church that already had been established. The Gabalva Baptist Church had been there since the 1800s.
Wow.
And so they would not have allowed me to go and work in that church. But Dad's vision is that with some flexibility, it might make a difference. So let me just say that now here we are at least 33 years after I came off the field. So the Gabalva Baptist Church is larger than it was when I was there. When I left, it was about 120. We went from 17 adults to 120. Now it's a larger church than that. Very, very vibrant. Pastor, associate pastor, reaching just scores and scores of students.
Wonderful.
And it's primarily a student church, which when I was there, it was a family church. It's primarily a student church, but a lot of families still in that church. Ebenezer is going tremendous with a national pastor doing a tremendous work, and survived and has a huge Christian school in the church there at Ebenezer up in Macon. So those churches were rescued. They were saved.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And Dad was looking for that kind of flexibility. And the reason he wanted to call it the Gospel Preacher Association was the one thing that we had to be was gospel preachers.
Yep.
We didn't have to go into an existing church. We could, but we didn't have to. You didn't have to be in church rescue. You didn't have to be a church planner. Of course, you could be these things, but you didn't have to be.
Right.
You could have a little more flexibility with you. You could be a youth missionary, like Zach Johnson is, taking young people to the mission field, and that youth missions work goes on. You could be a missionary working on the ship, like our two new dentists who will be working on the ship and providing dental care. But whatever you're doing, the gospel has to be preached.
Yes.
We can't take them. We're not going to take the medical team without gospel preaching. We're not going to do children's work in the community and feed them and clothe them and give them toys without giving them the gospel. Everywhere we go, that is our primary emphasis. Our number one goal is to reach them with the gospel.
That's wonderful. That is the need. If you don't have Jesus, you don't have anything. And you need Jesus more than anything. As much as medical care is needed, as much as dental care is needed, everyone needs Jesus. Jesus is the need of the hour.
The youth missions, with all of the games and activities and crafts and all the things that they do, the shipboard ministry with the clinic on board ship and the medical abilities, the wilderness Christian camp with all the emphasis on learning survival skills and being able to know how to actively and effectively be able to hike through these areas and survive it all. All that is just a means to an end to get this person who's coming in to our ministry, being invited in. It's just a ends to get the gospel to them. It's a vehicle to get the gospel to them, and so that's what we're all about.
That's what it is, and truly, that's my vision. That's Brother Gary's vision, Dr. Talbert's vision, and certainly the need, even here in this prophetic observer that we've put in the last half hour. You get a free copy of this. Is that staff evangelist Josh Davis? He wrote in there. The need of today, and we often think it's the needs revival, the needs awakening, but actually the needs Jesus, isn't it, Gary?
That's the need. That's the need.
Yeah, the need is Jesus, and that's what GPA is all about. Now, why wouldn't you at this moment, this would be such a blessing, to call 276-669-4030 and join this army of 2,000, or 610-724-3916. That's 610-724-3916. Join the army of 2,000. Such a blessing. In our Jubilee meeting here in February, We only mentioned this one night particularly, and I remember that several of the preachers, Dr. John Reynolds and others, they joined for a whole year right then. They put in. They said, "Hey, man, they're getting the work done. They're not the missionaries are have every penny every church sends to them. They get every penny. Not one cent is withheld to take care of all of the accounting expenses and handling the money and handling all the forms and IRS and everything. Not one penny is kept back from any of the missionaries. They get every cent that a church sends. And this Army of 2000 will take care of the home office expense for the entire group. And it's something that relieves them of a lot of expense and
Right.
a lot of headache.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're, as we mentioned earlier, maybe you've just joined in, but one thing about the office there, and the office is now in Pennsylvania, okay? It's Nottingham. Oxford's the actual address, isn't it? Oxford, PA. But the home office being there has made it so much, can we say, easier in some ways to be able for our missionaries to call in very quickly, get in touch with someone. If they leave a message, that Dr. Moore and others will get right back to them, because missionaries all across the world, as we have, they have needs.
And
all
sometimes
across
the needs
world.
are-
And the
yeah.
needs are urgent
Yeah,
in
they
many
can be
cases,
urgent,
aren't
yeah.
they? And so they need a voice to talk to. They need someone that they can get a hold of, someone to grab hold and say, yeah, we'll do something like that we need right now. Let's do this.
Now, I will say this. You said Dr. Moore might get back with you, and that's possible. I have. But it's
Well,
not
someone
probable.
will, won't it?
It's
Yeah,
not probable.
yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I keep up. I keep up with, with what's happening day by day, sometimes even hour by hour, with our missionaries and with our home office. And I will tell you that I am amazed at how many times a day our staff is dealing with missionaries, either in the United States or in Central America or in Europe or wherever it might be. It's amazing how often they communicate throughout the day. I see their phone calls when they come through. I don't know what they say, but I can see that they've made the call. I can also see the emails that are going back and forth and how often that's taking place. And so it's just amazing how often that is taking place. And so by lifting the financial burden,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest with you, there is a financial burden at the moment. We are running at this moment at a deficit. And so when you give that $5 a month, that's $5 less of a deficit that we have
Right.
each month, and that lifts a little bit more of the burden. And when that burden is lifted, we'll be able to even more effectively handle everything that comes through to us, so that our missionaries can do their work. And that's the primary objective here, is so
Right.
that the missionary can stay on the field and do their work, and and that missionary not be burdened with what's going on here. We can lift that load from them.
That's tremendous. And I was speaking back in earlier days. I've been with the GPA on their advisory board and board of directors for years now. And one of the amazing stories I kept hearing from new missionaries and older missionaries that had been with them was, we love our mission organization because they keep our hands freed up for us to do our work. We don't worry about, how's my funds going to get in the bank? How am I going to account for this? Who's keeping the records for IRS, and who's doing this, that, and the other? And they said, we're free to concentrate on doing kingdom business. And I've heard your dad say this so many times, Dr. Talbert Moore. It's all about building the kingdom.
Amen.
It's
All about building the kingdom of God.
Kingdom of God.
Yeah,
It's all
absolutely.
about building the kingdom of God. And certainly it is. Talk a minute, Brother Gary, which we all love and we're glad we're part of, the Mercy vessel, and let's talk about
Right. Yeah, we
future
did want
plans
to
there.
take a little bit of time and talk about that. So, Mercy's vessel is its home port is in Gulfport, Mississippi, and it is going to stay in port all of next year for at least not going international, and then we've got big plans for it in 2025. So, before I get to 2025, though, let me tell you what we are going to do with Mercy's vessel in 2024. So in 2024, we've got June, July, and August. Each one of these 3 months, we have a full week of what we're calling Mercy's Vessel Boot Camp. And what we're going to be doing is if you are between the ages of 15 and 20, between the ages of 15 and 20, you can go and spend a week on Mercy's Vessel. And if you go to the website, it's got the dates, it's got the cost, it's got the information, and included in the cost is certificate for CPR, certificate for emergency first aid, and also certificate for food safety preparation. So all of that's going to be dealt with during the week of boot camp. Plus, we're going to talk about how to use a water rescue boat off the back of the ship. We're also going to teach you the systems on the ship. There's 2 different water systems. There's a sanitary system. There is, of course, the engine room is. We'll show it to you, but we won't be teaching you how to operate the engines. But we will be teaching you how to operate the safety equipment that's on board, the fire equipment. All of that, we'll be teaching you how to do that, as well as learning some things that you'll need to launch the ship or to dock the ship. And that means learning at least 4 different ways to tie a knot. All knots are not slip knots. They're not all the same. And so you'll learn some different ways to tie a knot as well, and how to, there's some procedure to launching a ship. There's some procedure to docking a ship, and we're going to go through all of that. So it'll take the whole week. It'll be a Monday through a Saturday. You'll spend on board Mercy's vessel. You'll sleep in the dormitories. You'll have chaperones there with you, and the captain will be on board part of the time, and then our leaders, we got a missionary family, be there all week leading it, plus some other chaperones from the churches be there all week to help you with it, and it'll be a great learning experience for you. And this is in preparation of the fact that come 2025, our prayers and our plans are very tentative, but we really want to see the ship out for a 7 to 9 month voyage.
Wow.
We want to take it out. And the reason being is this: it costs so much fuel to get the ship down to Central America that once it's down there, if it only stays a couple of weeks or a month, it's not cost effective. But if we can have 6 specific separate mission trips working off the ship while it's down there before we bring it back, then that makes it worthwhile and it makes it cost effective. It won't break our bank. We'll be able to handle that work and that ministry if we can do that. And that means at least 2 full weeks of medical mission, and then 6 weeks of mission, with 4 of those perhaps being only evangelistic and children's outreach, but 2 of those out of the 6 having a full mission medical component, and maybe 3, depending on how many doctors and lawyers sign up for us and how many weeks they can give us. We might be able to do 3, but we want to do at least 2 full weeks of medical clinic on board the ship, and then 6 weeks total of evangelistic outreach.
That'd be tremendous, because next...
And then that's not all that we would do. We would do a week of preparation before each trip and a week of follow-up after each trip. So all total, we'll wind up, doing about 4 months of mission work off the ship that year.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
See, next year is something very needed that most people don't realize, is that people going on Mercy's vessel, people working from a ship-based ministry, they need certain training.
Right.
Like you train, you have to learn to swim. Well, you have to learn how to operate a ship, dock a ship, what to do. All of these things are so important. That's the reason the boot camp is there, because just anyone who wants to be a part of a mission program needs this extra training for the
Yeah.
ship, and it's got a complete clinic on it.
Right.
And I'd love for you to see it as I know it, a fully, can I say, a fully operational, sanitary place is a clinic that's on the ship.
It is beautiful,
Stocked.
isn't it?
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
And medical doctors and nurses right here from the U.S. and some places that we were going, like Honduras this year. We had some great nurses and doctors right there, didn't
Right. As a matter of fact, our dentists were all Honduran dentists. 2 of those dentists worked with us during the week and then became missionaries with the GPA.
Wonderful.
And so that was thrilling. And then yes, we did. We had 2 doctors, 2 Honduran doctors that worked right alongside. We had 3 American physicians down there, but we also had 2 Honduran physicians, so we wound up with 5 physicians.
Wonderful.
And we were able to see so many patients and so many people received the gospel. It was a really marvelous trip.
That's tremendous. And so Mercy's Vessels is very important to us, a very important part of the GPA, and getting preparations made for this. I think it'll be one of the greatest launches that we've done.
Yes.
When we make all this preparation for 2020 in 2024, for 2025,
Right.
putting the ship down there in a certain area and reaching out at all these places
Yeah.
that we can go to.
The desire is that take the combined number of all 3 full weeks of boot camp, and then scatter them out among the 6 weeks of ministry that we're going to do. So you're looking at about half of each boot camp. We want them working on a trip so that at least a good number, at least 25-30% of the people on that boat have been through boot camp, and then they can help the ones who didn't get an opportunity to go through boot camp. Now, some of those are not going to be in boot camp anyway. We don't require our doctors or nurses to go through boot camp because they're there to do a specific job.
Right.
But our young people who will be assisting and doing children's youth ministry, vacation Bible school, we want them to be the ones who come in and learn the ship, and they're the ones that are going to be doing that work day to day.
That'll be fantastic. And speaking of those opportunities there, Brother Gary, to be a part of boot camp or to be a part of the mission effort, what's the age that folks could sign up, and what's the criteria that
For
they
boot
need
camp,
to know?
for boot camp, it's age 15 to 20. In that age group, 15 to 20 is what we're looking for. So if you're going to be 15 to 20 years old next summer, then you can sign up for boot camp. If you're going to be 25 next summer, you wouldn't be a part of boot camp. If you're going to be 13 next summer, you wouldn't. We need to wait a couple of years, and then we'll get you. But you need to be this age group, because this is the age group that we're going to be using to work alongside the doctors and nurses while we're there, is the 15 to 20-year-old age group. So then they would be 16 to 21 the year of 2025. That's what we're looking at. So you need to be 16 to 21 to work in that group that's going to be going out. Now, for our actual, in other words, for the ministry that we're going to do in 2025, when we're going to have the ship being used for that long period of time, we're looking at anybody who is 16 years old or older can be a part. So if you're over 21, you don't really have to necessarily go to boot camp. It wouldn't hurt. But if you're over 21, you wouldn't necessarily have to go to boot camp. But you're still 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 30, 32. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a nurse. You don't have to be a certain age. You can be any age above 16, and we can put you to work on the mission trips because we need drivers. We need people to operate the puppets. We need people to pack the bags. We need people to do the crafts. We need people to teach the lessons. We need all of these people. And sometimes we're working in countries where we need translators, but not always. When we were in the Dominican Republic, it was English. When we were in the Philippines, it was English. When we're in Grenada, it's English. And so you may need a little bit of Spanish, or you may not. If you go with us, if you go to Haiti, which of course Haiti's closed at the moment, but if you go to Haiti, it's Creole. So if you've got a little Spanish, that may help a whole lot, but it's not absolutely necessary by any stretch. Any age, whatever you do, we'll be able to use you. We need cooks. We need everything on for
on
this
those
trip.
trips.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's no age limit. No age limit when you're for our trips. When you're out there, the boot camp though, you would want to be in that neighborhood between 15 and 20 next year because the boot camps are that. It's a special training session and all for the Mobilization Ministries Mercy's Vessel, and that's something for you to know and be a part of. Now
There's
if they
no
go to
age
the
limit
website-
up, but there is
Oh, yeah.
always an age limit. You have to be 15 to go to boot camp. You have to be 16 to go on a mission trip.
Right.
But if you're 15 next year, you're good to go across the board. Yes, there is a website. It is, and it is a different website. You can go to www.gpamissions.com and you can find some of the information. You can also find a link. But the actual Mercy Project website is this, www.gpamm. That stands for Mobilization Ministries. That is the area, the section of the GPA that handles short-term missions. So it's GPAMM, and you click onto that website, and it'll have all the information on the trips coming up for the boot camp next year. We also have, I didn't mention this, we also have a ministry next year. We have a medical trip going, and we'll be going to Puerto Cortez in Honduras.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So Puerto Cortez in Honduras. And so that, I'm not sure of the dates right off the top of my head. I'll look it up in a minute maybe. But we are going to Puerto Cortez. We are going in June. If you are medical personnel and you want to go, you need to sign up immediately because I think we're very, very close to being full for next year's medical trip for medical personnel. We've had a lot of medical personnel sign up very, very quickly, and we're just about full. So if you're going to go with us next year and the medical side, you need to sign up. But if you want to go and you're between 16 and 25 or whatever, and you want to go and work alongside the professional medical staff and help us with the outreach for the youth, the vacation Bible schools, the evangelistic services, if you're over 25 and you want to be a driver, if you want to help to teach, anything like that, then you need to go ahead and sign up right away because it's all filling up quickly, but the medical side is just about full. Yeah.
Wonderful. There are so many, I know many physicians that I talk to that they want to be part of something like this. Not only physicians, but PAs and those nurses and individuals that are in the medical field. They long, some of them said, I've had a real vision, I've had a goal, I want to go on a medical mission.
Okay,
So,
you know, the thing there is, and I know exactly where you're coming from there, and I've had a lot of people tell me that. So what you really want to do is you want to get in touch with our office as soon as you can and say, I'm a medical personnel, and I want to sign up for 2025 because we're going to have at least 2, probably 3 medical trips for 2025. And so that means that we're going to need more doctors and more nurses than we've ever needed. And that will give you an opportunity to say, well, I really can't go in June, but I can go in August.
Right.
Or I really can't do anything in August, but I could work in September. And fit you in, because we're in the pre-planning stage of 2025. And during the pre-planning stage, we can space this out how it best fits our medical personnel. And so you need to get in touch with us so that we can hook you up with the right time. And that gives you 2 full years to get everything worked out.
Yes, that would be fantastic. So I encourage you to be part of that. If you have a desire, you think you would, or you know someone, then please get them in touch with gpamissions.com or gpamm.com, and they can find out more information about Mercy's Vessel, about these mission trips. Now, here we are at the Army of 2000. We really need everyone possible to be a part of this Army, and this Army is only $5 a month. $5 a month. That's, if my math serves me correctly, that's about 25 cents a day, a little, maybe even less, to be part of that for a normal month of 31 days. So an Army of 2,000, $5 a month, would support all of our missionaries, because what it would do is help us care for all of their financial accountability, all their deposits, all of their tax requirements for all of these 60 missionary families that we have, and others who are joining the GPA on a yearly basis, and we're blessed in that. So,
Amen.
Call these numbers we've mentioned already, and visit our website, gpamissions.com, and be a part of the Army of 2,000. Gideon had an army of 300, and he had more than that. And the Lord said, well, here's what I want you to have. But the Army of 2,000, spreading out this funding and having your prayers as part of this, will be wonderful. I believe the strategy, you get 2,000 people praying for you.
Yes.
That you know
That's
are
a big
praying
portion.
for you.
Yeah.
When you get, you send your $5 a month in, and you say, Lord, bless the folks that this helps. And that check goes in, or it comes out of your account, and you say, Lord, bless those dear folk. Think about that, 2,000 people praying for you every month. That's just, there's no value to put on there, is there, Brother
Yeah,
Gary?
it's priceless, absolutely.
Yeah.
So now we have at least 12 new recruits for the Army of 2,000, so that's
wonderful.
thrilling.
That's a
And
blessing.
we're really getting close to our goal now. So be one of the ones that's pushing us up to our goal for the day. We're getting close to it, and very close. And so we're going to ask you to right now
Yes.
get on the phone and call, or get online and sign up, and let's become part of the Army of 2,000. I'm not going to say yet. In about 10 minutes, I'll say exactly what our goal was for the day, and then we'll have a half an hour left to try to get that last little bit. But we're getting very close, so you could really, really help us today to get there. If you just call and sign up and become part of the Army of 2,000, that would be a thrilling thing.
Amen. Absolutely. Now, we've got a little bit of time. Do we have?
Yes.
Okay, we got a little time. We're still offering the Prophetic Observer that we'll give to you, as well as a copy of Dr. Talbert Moore's
Got about
book.
6 more minutes. on
Six
that.
more minutes of that. If you will call in, we'll give you the Prophetic Observer and a copy of his last book that he wrote for us. Tremendous book. I have that, which is his life's convictions. You say, why is that important? Because you spend 90 years in life and the ministry, and then you're sitting here looking at the common convictions, or can we say the common principles
Of
that
life,
guided you all through that.
You know, I was
through
thinking
the
about
ups and
this.
downs and all of it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this when you were talking about it earlier. This is a book that Dad could not have written when he was in his early ministry, or even in middle of his ministry. He could only write this book in his later years.
Yeah.
It took the wisdom of those years to accumulate for him to be able to write this book and say, "Hey, these are principles. These are convictions that carried me through my life, I know they'll carry you through yours.
Yes.
You know, and,
Yes, and that can only be written. I mean, it's like the book of Ecclesiastes, you
Yeah.
know, literally. And Solomon, you know, he writes mostly about his failures chasing a dream
Yeah.
out there. But Dr. Moore looks back and sees how God protected him and guided him, and can only be written from that point of view. I remember right before he wrote the book, and he came out with the Eagle magazine.
Right.
And I remember him saying these words to me. He was here with me, I think, for a Sunday or a special service or two. And I remember Dr. Talbert Moore saying these words. He said, he'd grab me by the arm like that, and he'd do that sometimes. Grab me by the arm, he'd lean over and say, Brad, I've got some things that God says I've got to write about. I've got to write about. I have to tell people I have to do it. I've got some things that I've got to, I need to.
Right.
And I think that's so important.
It's kind of what I call a Psalm 128 experience. Psalm 128 verses 5 and 6 says, "The Lord shall bless thee out of Zion, and thou shalt see the good of Jerusalem all the days of thy life. Yea, thou shalt see thy children's children, and peace upon Israel." You
Right.
got to wind up being a grandfather or a great-grandfather and being able to survey your family and your life and the principles that brought you there. Psalm 128 moment that you need there. I'll reach down here and get this real quick.
Right.
And so we don't
So
lose it.
you call in for the Army of 2000. What a blessing. Go to our website, gpamissions.com. If you're watching here from the Antioch Facebook or Antioch YouTube, gpamissions.com or 276-669-4030 or 610-724-3916. That's 610-724-3916. For you folks that may be up in New London area and up there in Pennsylvania and Delaware and Maryland, all them folks, man, you just throw a rock and you're there, aren't you? I mean, it's just, they all come together in one spot.
It is where it's a tri-state area for sure.
Yeah.
And we're relatively close to one another, and that's a good thing. That is a good thing. We're not only close, the churches have good fellowship too, and that's a great blessing.
For sure.
Let me just say this too about the ministry of short-term missions. We want everybody, regardless of who you are, where you're from, what your age, if you are physically able and you have any desire whatsoever about missions, then we want you to, at some point or another, make a short-term mission trip with us. Short-term mission trip can be anything from 10 days to 2 years, and literally 10 days to 2 years. So whatever you think that you might be interested in, contact us and let us know. Now, one of the things you can do, and I haven't mentioned this, is you can go to GPAMM, and there's a short-term mission application form, and you can fill it out online and submit it to us, and you can just tell us what you're wanting what kind of a short-term mission experience you're wanting to apply for. For instance, we talked about the 2025. If you're in the medical field and you want to go ahead and get your name on the list early, then fill out that application form, and we'll have your email address because you'll have to use it to send it to us. And so you send it to us, and we'll get it. And in the comment section, you can say, I want to apply for a medical mission trip in 2025. And then that way, you'll get all of our information. We'll email to you when short-term mission arrangements are being made and plans are being finalized. That's going to come to you, and you're going to see that, and you're going to know it. And you can even correspond back and forth with us that way. You can send us an email to our, there's an email address right there on that website, and you can just send us a direct email, and then you can correspond back and forth to us and keep up with where we're where we're planning to go, what we're planning to do, and put it all together. I can tell you that at the moment, it looks like we are talking about going to Mexico and Cuba or Belize. Mexico for sure, and then either Cuba or Belize is what's being planned for 2025.
Okay.
And so if you're interested in working in any of these places, then let us know, and let us know which place and what time frame would work, and we'll, like I said, we're in our pre-planning stages. But that can be true if you want to be a teacher in a Christian school for a year, or if you want to go and assist a missionary, you're a young preacher, you'd like to spend a year on the mission field, send that information to us, and we can help you work it out for short-term missions.
That short-term missions, for those of you who may be wondering, what is that? Well, it's simply, as Dr. Gary talked about, it is you testing the waters. Is this what God wants for me? You will be a help out there on the mission field, because missionaries that are there now will be working with you, guiding you. You'll be working with them, and short-term mission is hooking you up. You who are wondering, is this God's plan for me? Or you may be up in years and you say, well, I always wanted to do that. Well, go right on, and there's veteran missionaries that you will be working with right there in these areas that love the extra help. They love it, and they appreciate it so very much. And for most of them, it's been my experience, Brother Gary, that they are thrilled to have anyone to come and help them
It's
for
a
a
great
while.
encouragement to the career missionaries. Now, I will tell you this, especially when it comes to the medical missions. We've had a lot of people who have gone on a short-term missions trip thinking that, I want to have this experience. Maybe they're in a particular stage of life, and I want to have this experience. I want to go to the mission field at least one time before I die, or before I get married, or before I start my career, or whatever. And so, or while I'm, as a doctor, I want to go at least one time. And they've gone with us the one mission trip, and then they've come back, and especially when it comes to doctors and nurses, they go with us the one time, they come back, and then they go with us every year. And they'll come to me and they'll say, I want to go on a medical trip once a year. And so we have a number of doctors and nurses who are just planning on going every year. They didn't initially start out that way. They were going to make one trip, but now they take a week and a half or 2 weeks every year, and they go with us on a short-term trip. And they say, this is part of my life. This is part of my ministry now. And year after year after year they go, and it's done them a world of good. And because they keep going back, it does the people that we work with a world of good. And especially the people in Panama and Honduras have told us over and over again that one of the things they like about our short-term missions program is we go back to the same place more than once. And so, like we over and over and over again, we go to the same places. You say, well, aren't there other places you need to go? Yes, we have them lined up. But we also know that we're building a lot of relationships. And we're helping them more by being able to be there every other year or every third year, and being able to minister there alongside of them, and getting to know them and getting to know their ministry, as well as them getting to know us. So it makes a big difference. So if you're interested in anything like that, short-term missions might very well be the place for you. But yes, we have had so many people who have made a missions trip and come back and said, yes, God's called me to the mission field, and especially the young people. And so don't be afraid. You just go ahead and go, and let God have his way in your heart, because he's not going to lead you to do anything that your heart won't follow.
No, he won't. And I guarantee you the devil's not going to be the one to ask you to go.
That's exactly right.
You won't have to worry. Maybe it's the devil telling me to do. No, he's not going to tell you to do that. Hey, if you've tuned in, listen, you're listening to and you're watching here, whether it could be audio through our system here, could be Facebook at Antioch Baptist Church in Bristol, or YouTube, or it could be through the GPA Facebook that you're watching. but we are right in our campaign year. Oh boy, we're in our last half hour, it looks like, Brother Gary.
Yes, we are.
So here we are, and the Army of 2000, you can join that and literally support all the 60 missionaries for only $5 a month, becoming an Army of 2000 member. And it helps take care of all of their needs when it comes to the paperwork, to the accounting, their deposits, getting the funds in the bank so they can get them wherever they are in the world. It takes care of all of the staff work that has to be done, frees their hands up, literally frees them up to do the ministry and build the kingdom while we're doing the work here. I know for one thing, we have a preschool here at our church. My wife's the director of it, and many of our members here in the church work in the preschool, and the work they do, the constant paperwork that my wife is having to do, that she does, and others that help, and the teachers and all. There's no way in the world we could do it. There's no way in the world without these individuals. And so they're in the home office in Nottingham, Pennsylvania. We're so blessed that we have the office there in the church, which is a blessing.
Yes, it
tremendous
is.
blessing
Tremendous
because
blessing.
we don't have to pay office expense right
Right.
there. And we're grateful for Nottingham Missionary Baptist Church letting us use their facilities. But these three ladies that are working there are superb at what they do.
Absolutely.
And they get it done, and they're so personable. The missionaries have full confidence in them. Anyone does. When you
Yes.
call in and talk to these ladies, anyone could have. They're easily communicated with, so easily to share needs and problems and issues, and that is so needful. Then they know how to direct the calls. They know how to direct the information they get, and we're just really blessed there.
The
But
Lord's
you
been
could
good.
help that, couldn't you, Brother Gary? But you can help that.
You make a big difference. We're looking to reach our goal. We need 3 more people to sign up today. So you could be one of the last 3 to make the difference today. So call in. We've got about 22 or 23 more minutes.
Okay.
And so we're encouraging you to help us reach that last 3. We just need 3 more to reach our goal. So call in today and join the Army of 2000 and be a part and help us reach our goal today of a number of new recruits that we wanted to have signed up for today.
Yes, that would be so wonderful and make such a difference to us. Make such a difference. And please don't think, well, that's too small an amount. Well, if you think it is too much, you can always send more.
Yeah, we're not going to turn you down if you want to give more.
We won't do that. But the power is in the numbers. The power, as the scripture says, that king who has a very limited number of princes is weak compared to that king who has a large number of princes. Proverbs talks about that. And certainly we see that. We need, it's the number of people coming together to get this done, and it will happen, folks. We appreciate that. We need only 3 more in these next 22 minutes, and we sure would love to have you to be part of that. Again, here is the Army of 2000. It's on the GPA website, gpamissions.com, and if you'll find it, you see if you're looking from this Facebook here of the GPA Facebook, you see a soldier kneeling, and if you probably can't see that from our Facebook page or YouTube, but if you go to that website, gpamissions.com, you will see a soldier in a what we would call a Roman armor attire, and he's kneeling down and he's in prayer. And certainly that's what we want. We want 2,000 prayer warriors and 2,000 folks that would give us $5 a month to cover and help all of our missionaries, all 60 of them, anywhere and everywhere in the world, for sure. Now, Brother Gary, let's talk a little bit here. We don't only operate in the foreign countries, but we also, we know America has a great mission
need,
field,
yeah.
isn't it? And we have some missionaries right here in America.
Right.
That
We
the
have
Lord
quite
is
a few
using. Talk about some of them for just
Well, you
a
know what? I
moment.
think I want to talk about this couple. Johnny Davis and Saber are missionaries in Wyoming, and they've been there for several years now. Originally, he went to Moldova and learned Russian, and they were missionaries there for many years. And then they were really almost forced out of Moldova, but they felt like the Lord was bringing them back to the States after serving many years overseas. But they still felt that the Lord wanted them in missions. So they didn't go back to North Carolina where they're from. They came home for a while, prayed about it, and went to Wyoming, and they're home missionaries there, and they've been there for several years now. And they have a real need. And I'm going to tell you what that need is. They need people to pray for them. This is a strange thing to say, I suppose, but the field of service in Wyoming is so much harder than it was in Moldova.
I can see.
The hard part of going to Moldova was learning the language and getting familiar with the culture. But once he started witnessing and giving out the gospel, he had a powerful effect, and lots of people responded. And he said it was unusual not to see people saved. And then he got to Wyoming, and it's just been uphill. The people in Wyoming are wonderful people. They're Americans. They love America. They're wonderful people in many ways. But a lot of them, they just don't have much time for the gospel.
Right.
And they're out there because they don't really want to be bothered. And he and his family really need your prayers to just lift them up. Johnny and Saber Davis. Now I'm going to tell you something. You can go on the website at gpamissions.com. Go to that website, and then at the top left-hand corner, you'll see 3 little lines. You click on those 3 little lines, and the menu will pop up. And when it does, it'll also have a place on there that says Our Mission Family. Our Mission Family. When you see Our Mission Family or Our Missionary Family, click on that, and then you can see every one of our missionaries. You just scroll down and see every one of our missionaries. And in the very first section is North America. And in that North America section, you'll find John and Saber Davis, and you'll find them listed there. And you can learn a little about them. If you want to donate to them, I'm sure they will appreciate that. But that's not the point I'm making here. What I'm making is you can see their picture, you can recognize their area of field of service, you can find out how to get their prayer letter so that you can pray for them. And they would appreciate so very much your praying for them. Another thing you might do for any of our missionaries, and I'm mentioning Johnny and Saber right now, but any of our missionaries, if you just wrote them a card and mailed it to them, and this is the United States, so it's just going to take one regular stamp, and you can write them a card, you can write them a letter, encourage them, send it to them. It would mean the world to them. It really would. So pray for our missionaries, and especially John and Saber, who are they're committed. They are doing the very best mission endeavors that anyone could do, and they just need prayer to lift them up and see God work in some very special ways. So I wanted to make a mention of that.
Sure.
And yes, they are our home missionaries. We have many great home missionaries. I don't know if you have thought about it lately, but we lost a great home missionary, and you remember. He worked with him and Plato were very good friends, and he was our general director there for a while.
Don Jackson.
Don Jackson,
Don
yes.
Jackson, yes.
And he went home to be with the Lord a
supported
couple
Don.
of years ago, and Judy Jackson is still faithfully serving the Lord. We praise the Lord for that. But Don was a great missionary,
Right. Yes,
and a
he
wonderful
was.
friend, and we really miss him in the work. But he was a home missionary for many years, and of course Plato is still out there serving. Mark Ball is still out there serving. So we have some great home missionaries doing some really great works.
That's wonderful. So not only when you support GPA missions, are you supporting missions around the world, literally? And we have missionaries around the world, but you're supporting missionaries right here at home in places where many would not go. And I know we think, well, there's no place in America I wouldn't go. I'm going to say there's many places in America if you really thought about it, you wouldn't want to go. But we have missionaries that are going there, and they are there, and they're doing a wonderful work. So, foreign missions, home missions, all across the board, the Army of 2000 would support every one of these wherever they are. And I encourage you. We only need 3 to reach our goal, and I really believe we'll have that. I think we'll get that for sure. I believe. And
I tell you what,
won't you be part of it?
Yeah, well, we're going to stay on the air for another 5 minutes, but then after we go off the air, it'll be 10 till, and the phone lines are going to stay open all the way up to 5 o'clock. But we have a 5 o'clock service here. We want to have an opportunity for Antioch to put things back together and get ready for that. So we're going to only be on the air about another 5 minutes. But the phone lines will be open another 10 minutes after that. And then anytime you want, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can go online and join the Army of 2000.
Yes.
You can go online and read about Johnny and Saber in Wyoming, or you can read about one of our missionaries in Central America, or one of the missionaries that we have way out. We have one in West Africa. We have one in India. We have them in Europe. We have them in Great Britain. You can read about those missionaries and find out what they're doing, and be a great blessing to you. So we want to make that available to you anytime, but for the next 3 or 4 minutes, we'll be on the air here, and then at 10 till, you'll have 10 more minutes to either phone in or any time to connect with us online and get signed up.
Yes.
And we want to say a great, huge thank you to Antioch Baptist Church for opening their doors up to us today, and had a marvelous freedom to preach this morning and present the work. And Brother Brad, I appreciate that so very much.
Absolutely.
You allowing us to be here today and have a part in your service, and then all afternoon being here with the Army of 2000. I know he's got to be weary. He was a busy man yesterday, busy man today, and
No problem. We love it.
yeah. Well, we're so glad, and you know what? He's going to be up with us at Nottingham. If you've take the opportunity to visit the home office, and the way to do that
Absolutely.
is September the 10th through the 15th. That's a Sunday through a Friday. September the 10th through the 15th is this year's GPA National Camp Meeting. It's held at the Nottingham Missionary Baptist Church, which is where our home office is now. If you want to come up, you can call the office and say, hey, I'd like to be up there for the week. They'll give you a list of hotels to contact that will give you a discounted price. We have a meal every evening before the evening service. And then for those missionaries who are GPA missionaries coming in, they will be having some classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then Friday, all day long, Friday from 12 to 6. Oh, 13. We have 13. So 2 more we're looking for now. Just need 2 more. But you can give a call to the home office. They'll give you the information that you need. But all day long Friday, there's a share-a-thon. Goes from noon till 6. We will break at 6 o'clock. We'll all have dinner together. We'll come back for the final service, closing service of the National Camp Meeting from 7 to 8:30, and we'd love to have you be a part of that. Dr. Joe Arthur will be there preaching. Also, Brother Ronnie Bearfield. Of course, Brother Dr. Brad Davis will be up there. He'll be preaching for us and probably teaching. So we're going to have a lot going on that week, and it's going to be a blessed time, so you don't want to miss it.
Oh, we look forward to it. It's tremendous. And we look forward to you calling in. We have 13, only 2 more. We'll take care of that for us. And we're just thrilled you could be part of today's Army of 2000. And please continue to consider this. we've been very blessed to host this. I'm excited about what I feel like God is doing in these days. Here we are in these days, about ready to see our Lord return in the sky. We know He's coming, and we look to that. But until He comes, we're going to occupy. We're going to keep doing what we know to do. We're going to build the kingdom of our Lord, build the kingdom. And the Army of 2000 is a perfect way to do that. We encourage you, stay tuned. All right, we'll be going off of this Facebook, but you can call 610-724-3916, 610-724-3916, or 276-669-4030, all the way up till 5 o'clock. And you can call those numbers. We'll get that information. We're looking forward to sending you books and articles here that I know will be a treasure to all of you. Thank you for being part of the Army of 2000, considering it, and please pass this information along to others.